view's so good, you almost won't notice all the dinosaurs. Welcome! Today we're blasting dinos while rocking impossibly tight pants in my review after 100% for Code Violet.
These pants are just a little tight.
A third-person survival horror game that just dropped exclusively for PS5. Developed by Team Kill Media, a studio that has a colorful reputation, and after multiple delays, I get it if you're skeptical. The idea is almost too good to be true. A mix of Dino Crisis, Dead Space, and Metal Gear Solid. An original sci-fi story, layered in strategic gameplay, and fan service for days. A top-tier AA game that feels like what so many have been waiting for. While I've done absolutely everything in this game, collected every item, unlocked every trophy, and played through multiple times, this review will be spoiler-free. So, is Code Violet just Dino Crisis in stretchy pants? Wait, that actually sounds awesome. Okay, so is Code Violet as good as it sounds? Let's take a look. You play as Violet Sinclair, a woman who wakes up on a beach with a lot of questions, but very few answers. What you'll soon come to learn is that she isn't from here, and not like how your girlfriend goes to another school. No, Violet isn't even from this century. But let me back up. You see, after a cataclysm, humans left Earth to survive on TRAPPIST-1E, but are now sterile.
Nothing like shooting blanks. What's plan B?
Now, if you were facing the extinction of all mankind, what are your options?
What do you do? What do you do?
Maybe focus on a cure for sterility, or use cloning to continue the human species? Or perhaps, and I'm just spitballing here, you could invent time travel, go to the past to abduct women, bring them to the present, and force them to become surrogates.
Right.
Oh yeah, and there are freaking dinosaurs thirsty for blood that may have something to do with the whole time travel to save humanity scheme. All of a sudden, cloning doesn't sound too crazy now, does it? So while the story is unlike anything you've seen before, the gameplay is much more familiar. If you've ever played a survival horror game, Code Violet will feel instantly familiar, with its blend of combat, stealth, and puzzle solving, with a big focus on resource management. You skulk through dark, twisting corridors, often lit only by your flashlight, loading your pockets with everything that isn't nailed down. Wait, where's she putting that flashlight?
Your safety is of the utmost importance. Warning.
You need to solve puzzles or find keys when your path is blocked. And as you make progress, you unlock shortcuts that make it easier to crisscross the facility. Puzzles are sprinkled throughout, helping to break up exploration, like memorizing Simon Says sequences, finding keys for locked containers, or deciphering codes from environmental clues. Early on, you get a UV light that lets you reveal things you can't see with your naked eye, revealing hidden messages, or help you to avoid lethal laser grids, though some things are better left hidden. For the most part, the puzzles throughout aren't overly tricky, but I appreciate the variety, though the toughest puzzle is undoubtedly managing your inventory. Your inventory is small. I'm talking painfully small.
It's too tight, it looks ridiculous.
You have to leave things behind and make mental notes of where you left them simply because you'll be out of space. And even as your inventory expands, making this far less of an issue, You never feel like you have enough. Thank God for the magical storage boxes in the safe rooms for storing your excess knickknacks. But even this can be a tough decision to make. You want to make sure you take what you need, but leave enough available inventory space to pick up more stuff. Like the metric ton of resources for crafting. Man, there's a ton of stuff that you can mash together to create new stuff. All of the recipes are available right away, so as long as you have the resources, you can make what you need. Like how mixing different colored pills together creates powerful healing medicine, similar to the red and green herbs in Resident Evil.
You say herbs, and we say herbs, because there's a fucking H in it.
But of course, one of the best things you'll find are all of the different costumes for Violet. You can change your costumes in the safe rooms. Here you have a few different customization options for Violet's look, like hair with simple style presets and a handful of colors, earrings that offer passive buffs, like giving you more mites or having you dole out more pain, and of course, the costumes themselves. And hot damn, these are a bit of alright. These range from retro American bombshell pinup to cheeky cowgirl to something you'd see in Mortal Kombat. One thing of note, there were previously exclusive pre-order costumes that are now available to all versions of the game as a thank you for your patience with the multiple delays. Of course, I wish there was even more customization flexibility, like being able to mix and match more articles of clothing and accessories, or even more visual changes to Violet herself. But what's there not only looks great, I appreciate that there are even gameplay advantages. Now, the equipment upgrade system gives you what you expect, but also a little more. Using mites, you can upgrade your weapons with additional capacity, faster reload time, more damage, that type of thing. You can also change the color of your weapons without using any mites, which I thought was just a nice touch. And what will you do with your shiny new arsenal? Well, that's where combat comes in. Especially at the start, you'll want to avoid fights. You die in just a few hits, and the enemies charge so fast and your guns are so weak that they'll likely take a big bite out of you before you can take them down.
You just getting the ass end of it.
Luckily, you have a bunch of ways to avoid fights altogether. You've got the tried and true crouching to stay out of sight and soften your footsteps approach. That also has the added benefits of this camera angle. Enemies are drawn to lights, so you'll want to turn off your flashlight or even take out the environmental lights and stick to the shadows. Tall grass can keep you hidden, but visually, it might actually be worse for you. Even if you manage to take out an enemy from the shadows, the sound could attract more, but attaching suppressors to your weapons can silence them enough to keep you undetected. On top of all that, you have a smart suit with glass veil camouflage, of course, which can make you nearly invisible, but since it takes power and runs on a cooldown, you have to be thoughtful about when you use it. Even with all of these tools, stealth can still be finicky, and at times you'll have to fight. Good thing you have just as many toys for that at your disposal. For combat, expect a mix of melee and ranged weapons against all sorts of hostile enemies. You start with just a pistol and a knife.
That's not a knife, that's a spoon.
All right, you win. I see you've played knifey spoony before.
As your arsenal grows, it also gets more powerful with upgrades over time. Soon enough, you'll be blasting dinos in the face with a shotgun, submachine gun, assault rifle, and more, while blowing them to bits with grenades. But for most of the game, you'll still feel like prey. And that's because of all the ways the enemies can bring the pain. Like how the Dilophosaurus venom will poison you, requiring you to take an antidote. Or how as you accumulate wounds, they trigger bleeding, reducing your maximum health. There's a lot to contend with, and this constant threat makes this game feel incredibly tense, even when the view is so nice. One of Code Violet's biggest strengths is how confidently it wears its influences, and more importantly, how it knows when to stop borrowing and start doing its own thing. Visually, there are clear nods to Dead Space, especially in some of the industrial interiors. You've got cold metal corridors, heavy machinery, and the same oppressive sense that the environment itself wants you dead. Even the way Violet's health is displayed directly on her suit feels intentionally diegetic. Not just a wink-wink reference, but a smart design choice to keep your eyes in the world instead of glued to a HUD.
Nice view, huh?
Pair that with genuinely excellent lighting, with harsh spotlights, deep shadows, and spaces that feel designed to hide threats. And the game nails the atmosphere way harder than you'd expect. And yes, the Dino Crisis inspiration is obvious, but why not? No other franchise has made being hunted by dinosaurs feel this constantly terrifying. It's got that feeling of prey better than almost anything since Capcom abandoned the series. Layered on top of that is a very Resident Evil coded survival loop. Limited resources, constant scarcity, and a narrative soaked in wild conspiracies that slowly unravel as you progress. You're never fully stocked, never fully safe, and never quite sure who's lying to you, which keeps tension high even when combat starts to feel familiar. Then there's the sound design that's doing a lot of heavy lifting here too. Footsteps echo in a way that makes you second guess every hallway. Creature noises travel just far enough to mess with your head. And silence is used as a weapon. When nothing's happening, that's usually when you're the most screwed. Violet herself is brought to life by Elena Wyss, and she absolutely carries the role. She's got a beefy voice acting resume, including Zenless Zone Zero and Starfield, and that experience shows. Violet doesn't sound like a cardboard survival horror protagonist, and definitely doesn't sound like a low-budget indie voice actor.
Where am I?
Home.
She reacts like a real person under pressure, and her performance elevates every cutscene and quiet moment alike.
What was that? Who was that?
I don't know.
That wasn't just a dinosaur.
I've never seen.
What do you mean you don't know? You work here!
Even throwaway lines feel grounded, which goes a long way in a genre where bad voice acting can kill immersion. The result is a game that feels familiar in the right ways, but never lazy. Code Violet isn't trying to replace Dead Space, Resident Evil, or Dino Crisis, and the atmosphere still holds up even after seeing absolutely everything. To complete this game and get every trophy, unlock all costumes, and see everything the game has to offer, I played through twice. Once on normal, and once on extreme. After finishing the story the first time, you unlock the hardest difficulty, and New Game Plus, which is honestly one of my favorites in survival horror games. Being a force of nature shredding through everything that used to terrify me is an absolute blast. All in, it took me about 10 hours to complete this game 100%. And after doing it all, I grew to appreciate this game even more, especially seeing just how few names are in the credits. And while I love so much about this game, it's not perfect. Combat doesn't feel great at times, the aiming can be floaty, the enemy AI isn't exactly cutting edge, and shots need more impact. I experienced a handful of visual glitches, and I did have this one time where I opened a text log before dying, and it didn't go away after I respawned, forcing me to hard close the game. Keep in mind I played this before any day one patch. With how much emphasis there is on costumes, it's almost criminal that the costume you're wearing isn't shown in the cutscenes.
That's not good.
Visually, I was impressed. It's clear this isn't a AAA game. It lands squarely in AA territory. And even though I think it's priced fairly at around $50, that's still a lot to ask. And I know some people have swore off this game at any price, so let me address the skin-tight elephant in the room. Code Violet is only on PS5. This isn't due to an exclusivity deal with Sony. To explain what's going on, Team Kill Media posted this on X. For those asking us about a PC version of Code Violet, the reason we're not bringing it to PC is we do not want anyone modding vulgar versions of the main character, as well as other characters in the game. We hold our voice actress and actors with high regard, as well as our artistic vision for the game and story, and reject any form of destroying that with sexual mods, making a joke out of our art, and possibly tarnishing the reputation of our voice actresses and actors is not worth the extra money we can make.
Oh, come on!
Needless to say, some were mildly disappointed. Now, I have a few thoughts of my own. First, yes, any PC game, and I mean any game, will get a Rule 34 mod. And yes, this is a pretty dumb reason to gatekeep the game. That being said, development teams say a lot of dumb things all the time.
Do you guys not have phones?
Yeah, you guys all have
Everyone's got a
phones,
phone.
right?
What matters to me is the game itself. Is it fun to play? Has the development team put their all into making it the best game possible? And is it good value for the money?
Access granted.
I want to support great games that embrace fan service. Even if it's not going as far as some people want, it's still a step in the right direction, which can be pretty rare these days. For far too long, we've had to deal with this. And if Code Violet is successful enough, who knows? Maybe one day it'll get a PC release. Remember, Stellar Blade used to be a PS5 exclusive too before it wasn't. That being said, this ain't Stellar Blade, but it's also not a lazy cash grab. So should you get Code Violet? A survival horror game with a hot protagonist, lots of fan service, an insane story, and the joy of blasting dinos in the face. There are no microtransactions, there's no online nonsense, and aside from a few issues, it runs better than 90% of AAA games. Some games fall apart when you see everything. This one didn't, so for me, this is a no-brainer. Now if you're on the fence, maybe wait for an eventual sale. And if you're someone who won't touch this game no matter what to punish the team for a single tweet, there's nothing I can say to change your mind. I just hope developers continue to make games like this. Okay, that's Code Violet. Will you be picking it up or leaving your Dino Crisis dreams in the past? Let me know. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out another cheeky little gem right here. I want to thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.
She's our priority. Without her, there is no future.